What's going on, everybody? And in this video, we are talking about the market state. We are talking about Bitcoin. We are talking about a bunch of different tickers that are getting ready for earnings. And as always, remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already, just to help the YouTube algorithms. So, being said, the market state, where are we at? Now, leading to this point, last week we had the FOMC meeting notes, which essentially was sticker shock to the market. Yes, we were aware rate raises were coming. Then there was an additional rate raise thrown in there. There was rate raises that were essentially in tapering that was essentially going to be expedited, were things that were talked in the December meeting. Come in this week. Yesterday, we heard from Powell, and he essentially clarified everything. He essentially retracted everything that was stated last month. He admitted that things weren't transitory, or he didn't want to use the word transitory, even though he still believes it is transitory. He's just not using that word. But he went to the Powell of old, essentially saying that we can't really dictate timeframes because we don't know what's going on. There's still a lot of different variants out there. There's still a lot of people that are trying to get caught up in the economy. To raise rates now could be more detrimental than actually help. So we got that. That was key information we got yesterday, Tuesday. Today we had core CPI, and we also had beige book today. The core CPI essentially came in at estimates at 7% year over year. Being said, it is extremely high, but it is estimated. So hitting expectations kind of just lets the market know, okay, well, we realize that there's high inflation rates. Some inflation actually did come down a little bit. But being said, so that transitory statement, it's hard to determine if it is transitory. I still do believe that some aspects of it are, but it really just depends on what's going on. If supply chain issues become an issue, we're going to see more inflation. So that's what he was kind of hitting towards. And a new piece of information that is really coming up is China is taking new variants or anything similar to that state and taking it very serious to where they're locking down and could affect supply chains. So this could be a black swan that may actually cause a true correction this year. So we do have a catalyst that is essentially in the weeds right now. We do got to be very careful on how what China's doing over there. And if they do decide to lock down people and restricting supply chains, that is going to be an issue. Yes, that will cause more inflation, that will cause more problems if that does happen. So being said, we do have that on the table, but coming into today, looking back at today, core CPI, nothing too crazy there. Again, actually some positive there, but we did see the beige book also very good as well. There's nothing really crazy in there. So the market looks good. The market is prepared for earnings. We're going to start getting bank earnings Friday, get more banks, big tech. We got Netflix next week. We got ASML next week. We got some chips going. We got TSM actually tomorrow, I believe, is reporting as well. So you get the semis coming in. If TSM does well tomorrow, you can see the chips really explode for the next couple of days. So I think the market digested the beige book and everything, and it really struggled in some aspects, aside from Tesla. And I think Tesla is our big indicator here on what they're doing. If they decide Tesla just started running, and obviously given the numbers are there, yes, it had price target upgrades and everything, but I think it's a lead indicator to say that tech is good. Tech is getting ready to roll. And so now you're going to start seeing other big tech follow Tesla. But going into the rest of the week, Again, I don't see any other data that's really going to affect the market. I think we get into earnings mode at this point. Is the market going to wait to see what the banks do? It's possible we could do a little bit of stalling, but we've done a lot of stalling to this point. We've had a lot of hiccups along the way. We've had our little quote unquote our pricing in of rate raises for March. Still a possibility, but Powell is really kind of kicking that can down the road as far as he can. We'll see what happens. They say 4 rate raises. I think we'll be lucky to get 2, but we'll have to see. Again, if China starts locking stuff down, everything that has essentially been said to this point, supply chain is going to be affected, and then the whole thing is just going to be completely out of whack. So being said, market in general, looking really good. Looks like we retested the 20 at that 47.10 mark today. I think tomorrow we might actually wake up with a gap up. I think we're going to try to retest all-time highs. I think at that point we might get some more, get a break or some chopping again, like we've been getting every time we break a new all-time high. I think there's a strong possibility going into next week. But I think we're going to see a nice push up, I think, overnight, possibly into Friday. And then next week, we're going to start the earnings mode. Once we get some banks earnings in, once banks actually start doing well, we do got JPM on Friday. If they come in good, I think that's going to be a positive sign, and then the rest of the market will follow after that. So it's really something to keep an eye on. I think we are in earnings mode at this point. I think we're going to continue to push. There is no true catalyst aside from China lockdowns and that affecting supply chain. So that, again, is something to keep in mind. Rate raises are not a big concern in the short term. Yes, they're going to continue to happen until we get a time frame. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. And until that's figured out, there's other bigger issues, especially when China's affecting possible supply chains. So being said, well, now we can get into Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, has had its dip. We're really close. We might actually have a wedge break here on the daily. Getting close to a very close wedge break. It is in a downward channel. I do really believe this is going to really start breaking out, especially with all the inflation talk. If China somehow decides that they're going to be put on lockdown, but there'll be more inflation concerns. I think at that point it could be really concerning. I think inflation really will take a major turn for the worse if that does decide to happen, because again, they're a huge supplier of a lot of the U.S. imports. So being said, we really this could be a hedge, and I can see where this could drive Bitcoin up to breaking the 70K mark, 75. Do I think 100K? I don't know. It's a possibility, depending really what's going on, depending what's driving the market. If it's going to be the inflation scare, again, Bitcoin has been a major hedge. Last time we saw Bitcoin really run, we saw gold actually tumble because of that. So it'll be interesting to see if inflation is going to be a concern. If China does decide to lock down and start affecting supply chains, that's going to be an issue going forward. So we're going to have to definitely pay attention to that and see how this plays out moving forward. But being said, I think Bitcoin is at a good turning point here. It does need to break it back above. I think if we can crack this 47K mark and get back over that on a daily, I think we'll get a solid break, retest, and then start heading back up. I think strong possibility. I do think this is the dip going into earnings anyway. After earnings, we're going to start getting in that March timeframe. I think the market's going to be a little hesitant around that timeframe. Waiting, anticipating a rate raise. If it gets it or not, we'll have to see. The market might just throw a fit and correct either way in March, so we have to be mindful of that. So being said, going into tomorrow, Tesla obviously huge, had a huge move today. It was the only thing that really moved. The only thing I don't like about the Tesla move is it's extremely choppy all the way up. Again, you had the beige book, you had core CPI. I think once we got the core CPI or the beige book today, Tesla really popped, and that's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm really looking at. Like, okay, the market's ready to go. Earnings mode is in on this candle because of the fact that as soon as we got that beige book report, took a little bit of digestion, and then Tesla just took off. I think the rest of big tech is getting ready to follow. You have a huge bull flag here on Google. It does have a lot of overhead resistance. So if we could break above that 2062 mark, I think would be great. Breaking a retest of that, get you all clear for all-time highs on Google. Again, you want to stay with the big leaders, I think, at this point for the most part, especially because they've been really beaten down. I mean, you got Google that's been almost touching the 200 on the daily. Tesla was beaten down pretty good, but now it's starting to recover fast. Asml is one. I'm actually swinging this one. I'm watching this one on the daily. Got that break. I think this actually gaps up. I think chips are going to do really good, especially if TSM and the semis do really good tomorrow morning. I think this one's going to start gapping and running. I think a lot of even NVIDIA, AMD, MU had a big move today as well. So you got to keep up with the chips. I think they're going to do extremely well. MU reported not too long ago and absolutely destroyed earnings. Their forward guidance is really good. No supply chain issues. One thing to keep in mind is Microsoft came out. I don't know how true this rumor is, but Microsoft is developing their own chips, and they did hire, I guess, with the lead engineer from Apple, who also started developing their own chips as well. So the supply shortage really isn't going to be that big of an issue moving forward. So Apple, another big one. I do really like the retest here on the daily. As long as it holds that 174 mark tomorrow. You got the golden apple move, which I think leading into earnings will be big. So you got about another week and a half, about another week and a half before Tesla reports earnings. So being said, this is definitely one to definitely keep on watch. I'm actually trying to get a position in this for a couple weeks out to cover earnings, and then go from that point. Again, it's good to stay with the big ones that you know are doing well. Amazon is still kind of iffy. I know they had a lot of reported numbers that weren't the greatest. So we're going to see chop. I think you might get some pushing here, kind of out of sediments. I know Shop actually did extremely well during the Black Friday. And it's actually still really beaten down, which is really surprising. So I think Shop could actually have a huge day coming soon. I think once it actually starts getting some gas, the whole e-commerce space, it'll start really, really running. So I think it's something to keep on watch. Roblox, I really like this. It's still floating around that 200. The biggest thing is with Roblox is there is not a big catalyst. Normally, Roblox has kind of been playing opposite of the big tech. If big tech sells off, the safe haven almost seems to be Roblox. Now, being said, I think any day now they're going to give monthly report here on their user, essentially the users that they have, and essentially the interaction and their full monthly report they give it every month. And normally what happens is it dips during that report. So I'm looking for a dip here in the next coming days on Roblox. I'll probably try to get in on that dip and then look for earnings on this. I got to figure out when earnings is on Roblox. I know some big tech still haven't announced earnings, so just kind of waiting on them as well. Another big one to watch, Facebook. I do really like Facebook on the daily. Again, you want it to break over this 335 and hold over this. I don't like the fact that you're getting these big pumps and these massive dumps on Facebook is why. And considering everything that's been happening over the past couple months with Facebook, I think eventually it's going to get to the point where it's going to start going all-time highs. Maybe it needs that earnings run, which is in the first week of February. So being said, I think we got one more week before Facebook possibly starts moving up, but it would definitely be good to keep in mind. I do really like Microsoft as well. It did get rejected off the 50 here on the daily, but tomorrow if we do gap up over this, let me actually look at this on the daily. Let me load my studies here. Yeah, so if we do gap up over this 326 mark, tomorrow. If you find Microsoft there, I definitely want to get a position in this as well. Again, you want to stay a big tech is going to really have a massive push during this particular time. E-commerce, I'm still a little shaky on e-commerce. I think most of your money is going to be driven into energy, into your Google. I think a lot of time people are going to be spending a lot of time doing those particular things. So being said, I think I definitely want to keep Microsoft on watch. UPST is another one. I'm kind of waiting for a reversal on this. Maybe we get another earnings. We need that earnings essentially to happen, which it looks like earnings on the 15th of February. So if that does happen, might finally actually start reversing this, but definitely want to keep that on watch as well. So, yep, that's pretty much what I got. I don't want to make this too long. Again, I think chips, your Tesla, your ASML, ASML is obviously chips too, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook. I think those are the big ones to be watching. Coin, there's another big one to watch. If Bitcoin actually makes that reversal, coin is going to start pushing massively up. I think it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin starts recovering quickly. We did see it recover quite a bit today, especially with all the inflation concerns. I think Bitcoin's going to start running here. I think we're possibly within days, weeks of Bitcoin reversing and pushing back to all-time highs very quickly, in my opinion. But if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.